really sure. Okay. Hi you guys, it's Dana with Little House of Gardening here. Happy Sunday. It's Sunday on my end. Take my headphones out, sorry. It is Sunday on my end, so I hope everybody had a really good weekend. So let's just get into it. So I wanted to talk about gardening or homesteading for beginners. I did notice a lot of my subscribers are between the ages of about 18 to 44. So those are ages where maybe you're still renting or you're living at home. So some ideas that I would say, and this is some ideas that I would recommend for you if you are just beginning, is to start small. So I did not start off with seeds, and that's very important because I think seeds are a little bit harder. At least they were for me. I would just go to a local store that sells plant starters and get something for maybe your windowsill or even your work desk if your work allows it. I'm gonna take one. So this is the arugula. This is something that you could start with. It's also a bitter herb that you could eat, but if you want like a flower, you can start with like a marigold, which grows well in the winter. So start very small. I started with a very small flower. I think it might have been a tulip, and actually you guys, I wasn't that great at the tulips. I was horrible. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was my lighting, but it was extremely discouraging at the time. And so I went back and I got a hosta, which grows very well here in Ohio. And with me being a beginner, I was still learning about what was difficult and what was not. So start with a starter from your local farm or your local store. It doesn't have to be fancy. I'm not really into like what's right or wrong. Do what works for you. If you're at a local store and you see a flower, grab it. I wouldn't say go out of your way when you're first starting. Number two is I write it down. I write down how did I feel when I was gardening. Like my pepper plant recently sprouted. I don't know if you guys saw that. It's outdoors now. The reason why is my kitchen was becoming cluttered, and I'm gonna get into the name of my channel here in a second, but it was driving me insane. So the pepper plant is out here now, and pepper plants don't even like the cold. So you can see it's not gonna do anything. But that made my day when I posted that pepper plant, because that's my first time actually growing peppers. And so I actually grew the peppers to put in with my chicken feed to keep squirrels away. They don't like spices, or so I've heard. I'm not sure, we'll find out, right? Okay, so so that's the second thing, is find what you fall in love with. So when I started, I fell in love with the hostas because one, they grow fast, and two, they grow big. And I didn't realize I like plants that grow really big. I get so excited. The fact that this sunflower is back here is really funny because I gave some to my coworkers and hers have already died, and I'm like, oh yeah, mine are still standing, right? So it's just so pretty. They make me smile. And so don't feel forced to do what everybody else is doing. On the other hand, I have some friends that love to grow roses. I have a rose bush in my yard. It's not particularly my favorite thing. I'm actually in the process of propagating those. They're back here somewhere. I can't find those. I've just been in the process of labeling. I can't find those, but so for me, roses are like my least favorite flower to grow. They seem like they're a little temperamental, but maybe it's just I have a growing curve. And so just do what makes sense for you at first. The third thing is to talk to your family, talk to your friends, and if that does not work, you can talk to people at work if you're working, school, if you're interning, or join a group. What I have found, the more that I start homesteading and like getting really where I want to be, is the fewer people there are to connect with on my daily life, because it's like, when do you have time? Or I didn't know you did that. So when we meet people, they're trying to place you into a category. And so if you're at work or, you know, on a Frisbee team, and it's like, oh, and by the way, I gotta go check on my chickens. You know, people don't know how to connect with you. And so what I started doing is I started talking about my plants, like taking pictures of them. I mean, I was posting them everywhere. And the word got out that, oh my gosh, you can get plants from Dana. Turned out people were running around to different stores to look for certain plants, and now they know that I sell plants, and so they can get them from me. Now, in the fourth thing here that I'm gonna say is, you don't have to tell anybody if you don't want to, but it's just gonna help you to learn and feel less isolated, you know. And so that's like the biggest thing. And when I first started talking to people about it, everybody was like, oh my gosh, you have to bring me some flowers, when I was showing them my pictures, because I wasn't showing them to show off. I would take pictures of my progress. So when I put the seed in, I would take it. About 3 months later, I would take a picture, and then about 6 months later, I would take a picture. And so at which point people were following my progress. And so that's something that you can do, is track your progress. Okay. And so I'm gonna go over the title of my channel. I don't think that I ever did that, if I have not. So I was thinking about that today. Little House of Gardening. So where did that name come from? Actually, one of my children picked that name out because I was having people in the community walk up to me and ask me questions about what I was doing. You guys, sorry, but it looks like my cilantro sprouted. So I grew a lot of this last year, so much. It was probably about, I think the cilantro was like 2 feet tall. So these probably need to get their own pot soon. So it's pretty cool. I usually rub the leaf because I like the smell of it. Okay. So anyway, sorry about that. Where did Little House of Gardening come from? So I have always lived in a smaller space, which is why I was like, okay, I can start with my exterior space and plant some flowers. I had little window boxes. I brought a plant at work. So I was looking for ways to maximize my space. And when I say small, I just want you to keep in mind that small is going to be relative to your surroundings, right? And so some of you might be like, I'm looking at your space, you have a large space. I guess I'm comparing it to other people who garden, to other people who farm. I don't have like an acre or 10 acres or anything like that. And so I am trying to utilize what I do have, and I'm within city limits. That's kind of interesting because technically I'm in the city, but when I look at other like channels, I could be considered suburban because there is like new builds going around, making it give the feel of a suburban street, but I am still in the city technically. So we'll see if the zoning changes. Okay, so the name, so little spaces. I've always lived in little spaces, and so from a very young age I had to realize how to maximize space and how to maximize what I do have. I teach, and I used to teach finance for 10 years or so. I was a chess teacher. I've done consulting on getting people employment, and this year I was like, you know what, I've taught a lot of people, but I would really love to engage in something that I really enjoy myself. And how can I teach myself to grow this thing that I love? Because what was happening was I would finish my work day, and the first thing I would do was come to the garden. And so my son is like, name it Little House of Gardening, 8 years old, just totally brilliant. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's cool, that's it. When I heard it, I was like, that's it, that is me. Because I was losing track of time. Have you ever done something that you just love so much that you lose track of time? I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta cook dinner, oh my gosh, I gotta do laundry. As you get into knowing who you are as a person, it's important to tap into that. When you start losing track of time, and when you really just dive so much into something that you don't care the outcome, that's a passion. And so I wanted to get into that because my whole life has been finding and helping other people develop their passions, right? So it's my turn. Okay, so yeah, when you're starting your own homestead, keep my story in mind that it's okay to not know. I drew out my plan of what I wanted my homestead to look like. I drew out my desk. What colors do I want? I actually started with what colors do I want to see in the garden. And from there, I had to go and search. Those are my chickens. Sorry. I had to go and search for, okay, now that I know what colors that I see for me, what plants and foods produce these colors. And that started me on my journey of kind of beautification of the homestead. So those are some things for beginner tips, is to create your plan, but be willing to pivot and continue to talk about it. Because the best thing about talking about it is I'm finding my own community. I don't look like a girl. Well, this is what I've been told, so I'm just putting that out there. I don't look like a girl that has chickens. I have on my knee boots. You can't see it. I'm still learning this new camera stand, so sorry about that. I work in finance. I know I go out, I hang out, I go out for drinks. So I do everything that anybody else does, right? So what does a homesteader look like? That's funny. I should do my next video on that. So when I started talking about it in daily conversation, like, hey Dana, how's your day? I'm like, oh good, you know, I got like 4 eggs, right? I'm really being truly authentic. I'm opening up the conversation. And so that's how I started meeting people, like, oh my gosh, tell me more. And so that's how we came to the name. Now, how I got to the channel was, as I said, I've been a teacher for many years in many different in many subjects. And several people were like, Dana, you need to post and share, because a lot of people can use what you're talking about. A lot of people can use not only what you're talking about, but what you're doing, and you're doing it in a financially conscious way. And so I had one good friend. I mean, my family was one thing, but family, just so you guys know, family and friends, they're not always your biggest cheerleader. And it's not because they mean bad. It's because they knew you from a pup, right? It's like, let's say you have a little cousin, and all your cousin liked to do was party. And all of a sudden, your cousin is like, I'm getting a law degree. Mind you, you have this person preset as a party goer. So when she gets her law degree, you don't understand that. So you're not rooting her along, because you already see her in one place. I'm not saying I'm a partier. I'm just saying that's the same thing. I work in a specific field. And so people see me as in a specific way. And so I was talking to my coworker because she and I would swap ideas on recipes. And I was showing her my videos because I always record like my struggles and like what am I going through. And it was a hard summer with the drought. And she was like, you need to start sharing these videos. Like, this is so amazing that you're doing this in the city. And I'm thinking to myself, when do I have time, right? And so she just kept saying it. She just kept saying it. And then I was like, you know what? She might be right. Let me just try this out, because she lives in an apartment. I think she has 4 kids, 3 or 4. And if she's saying it's beneficial to her, then it could be beneficial to others. And so that's one of the many reasons. I just had a list of reasons. All directions was pointing to this direction. And so that's how we got here. So if you are a beginner, I want you to know that, like, you starting out is the best thing that you can do, is just start. I never got anybody's permission. I didn't start talking about it until I started, until I put the plant in my window and I'm watching it, until I, you know, really was a little bit vested. Like, I really am feeling good about this, because you don't need Big Cousin to send that negativity your way. Just do it and you examine the results and decide how you want to move forward. So I just don't want you to be intimidated, because I see so many people on YouTube and it's like, who has the money for all that? Okay, so anyway, so my last point is, when I talk about it, I started getting free seeds my way. I'm not saying I'm affiliated with companies, and I'm not saying that people are just giving me, like, companies are giving me free things, or businesses. I'm saying now coworkers are like, oh, Dana, I put some seeds on your desk. My family is like sending me flowers. I had friends that was like, oh, I heard Pooh worked. Okay, so they're not necessarily understanding why I love gardening or getting dirty or cleaning out my coop. They don't understand it, but they are attempting to support it. And so that's what happened. And everybody's like, Dana's into that stuff, you know, ask her. And so that's how we got to this place. And so if you feel like it's your calling to start homesteading or growing your own food, I say go for it. And if it doesn't work, you know, it could be worse. You could be, you know, dealing with, you know, like an addiction or something. So it's extremely therapeutic for me. And so I just want to wish you well on your journey of starting. And I will do a next video for beginners part 2. But I think that if you enjoy it, do it. And my last thing is, I just had a neighbor recently. She moved in, amazing lady. And so I was introducing myself, and I just told her, like, you'll catch me out here a lot. I'm out here for hours of the day. And I gave her some basil, because my basil produced really good. I mean, if you walked into my backyard, it smelled like a spaghetti shop or an Italian restaurant, which I absolutely loved. So that was probably, yeah, that was in October. She moved in October. I invited her over for a glass of wine, vino. And yeah, so now she has her, oh, I gave her basil, parsley, and I gave her mustard greens, because those were like my latest sprouts. All of my zucchini and corn had gotten really destroyed due to the drought. So she still has that plant going. I have friends that still have their flowers going, and that just makes my heart big, because she said, I had no idea how happy this would make me. So it's those little things, right? So in the start, it's okay to give out stuff, you know, to your peers, and just say, oh, you know, I have this, and just see their response, you know. So I hope this video was helpful, you guys. Please like, share, and subscribe. I did get a new camera. I got a new camera stand, and so please bear with me because I'm still learning how to use my my camera and my camera stand without dropping and breaking everything. So bear with me. And yeah, I'm not gonna edit this, I'm just gonna post it. So thank you so much for just subscribing and listening to me, and I'm encouraging you guys to share your progress. Drop in a comment, let me know how it's going, let me know what you've done this week, this month. I love sharing what you're doing, so I would love to hear from you. I will talk to you guys soon. Bye bye.